Hello, would like to talk a little bit about inferences. Now, a question will look something like this. What can you infer about Tom? In this case, Tom here is your subject, right? And the question word that they use is infer. So when you do the inference question, you have to answer the question, otherwise known as ATQ. This is the very first step that you need to take. So copy exactly what the first part of the question is writing. Okay, so you will say I can infer. So you follow exactly. This is called answering to the question. I can infer that, and then because your subject is Tom here, so I can infer that Tom. Alright, was. After that, you write was, and this part here is going to be your inference. Okay, the source here states that Tom scored 100% on his test. So based on this evidence here, you are supposed to make an inference about Tom. Alright, so what will you call someone who scores 100% of his test? What is an educated guess that you will make about someone who scores 100% of his test? You would infer that this person is indeed smart. Alright, so you can write this as your answer. I can infer that Tom was smart. Okay, so that in a nutshell is what inference is all about. But in history, you have to use your evidence to support this statement that you made. So the next part is going to be about writing down the evidence. Alright, and the way you do it is you say the source states or shows. For text source, you would say states. For picture source, you would say shows. So the source states or shows. Okay, then for this part, all you need to do is list down exactly what the evidence states. So the source states or shows, okay, that Tom scored 100% in his test. Alright, and this is your evidence. Just listing down what exactly the source is showing or stating to you. Now, the most challenging part of your inference is the next part, which is your explanation. Alright, it is your explanation. When you make your explanation, you are trying to link your source, which is scoring 100% in the test, to your inference, implying that he is smart. So you have to make the link between 100% and smart, right? So I'll draw a little graph here. So main inference is smart, right? And then your evidence is he scored 100% in his test. Now, based on this 100%, what other words can you use to imply that he is a smart boy? So you would say probably, as he scored 100%, he understands the material. Probably, if he scored 100%, it probably means he learns fast. Okay? Probably, if he scored 100%, it means that maybe he can read fast as well. Read fast and he learns fast. Okay, so these things here, these three things here, I would call them as explanation points. So I will call these three things here as explanation points or extension points. Normally, 3 is the best. So 1, 2, and 3. And all these three things actually link back to the idea that Tom is actually a smart boy. So this is what you are doing, right? You're having a main inference here that is based on your evidence here, and you are making sense of the evidence in order to link it back to smart, right? So the question you can ask is, so what? So what if he scored 100% of his test in his test? How does this imply that he is smart? Well, by scoring 100%, it clearly shows he understands the material, he can read fast, and he can learn fast. And because he has the ability to do these three things, therefore, my point holds true. My point is true that he is indeed a smart boy. So once you have drawn this smart your graph here, then all you need to do now is put everything in full sentences. Alright, so to start your explanation, you would say, this implies. Okay? The implication of scoring 100% in his test, this implies that. Then you write down the things here. That he understands the material. He learns fast. And he reads fast. Alright, so you have made the link very clear over here. And all these things actually link back to your main point that he is smart. And all these things are of course based on the evidence that he scored 100% in your test. So your paragraph will look like this. Alright, so this is the example of how to do an inference. You need to catch the idea here before we move on to actual historical sources.